Hello, everyone. Welcome, welcome. I'm excited to see everybody. Hi, Jenny.
How are you?
I'm good. So good. I wish our weather wasn't so yucky, but at least it's kind of cooler. I can't hear you. Where'd your
Oh,
sound go? There you are.
it's here. I was saying you look beautiful, and so does your workspace behind you. I love it.
Thank you. Thank you very much. I'm glad that we have a little bit of cooler weather though, because we go to Washington, D.C. tomorrow. And I'm like, that would be a shock to the system going from like 90 last week to it's like 50 there. So, all right. Well, welcome everybody. You guys are welcome to keep your cameras, your sound off. I'll probably mute everybody just for right now. I'm sure some more people will be joining us. We had quite a few people register for the class, but I know some people have to watch the replay. So for all of you watching the replay, hello, welcome. Thank you for taking your time to watch this. For those of you here live, I appreciate you carving an hour out of your schedule. Our time is very valuable. So I'm always grateful when people spend it with me. I'm excited to talk to you guys today and help you navigate through this overworking cycle, talk about overwhelm, talk about a lot of the things that we deal with as business owners, some of the things that are more talked about, some of the cycles that are being perpetuated by people, the conditioning that we face, especially as women, and kind of dig into all these things. And of course, give you guys some solutions and some tactics and some things to put into your business and your life that are most helpful, that have been helpful to me to overcome overworking and be able to manage three crazy little kids and the life and businesses that we have. So we will utilize the chat. If you've been in a class with me before, you already know this. If you haven't, welcome to your first time. I love using the chat. I love for you guys to be able to connect with each other too. If you share any sort of similar space, it's important that like you guys already have something in common. I love being a connector of people. I love facilitating spaces like this. So if you guys want to drop your websites, your social media handles, what you do, whatever you want to do, drop that over in the chat so you guys can connect with each other outside of this too. I know that Jenny has attended one of my retreats before, and it's just, I love bringing women together. There's a lot of power in that. So everybody here has a business. Everybody here wants to make a difference in the world, and having that in common is we operate differently, as you know, which is why we're here, right? So yeah, hop over in the chat. Let us know where you're from, what you do, how we can contact you, stay in contact with you, your website, social media handle, whatever you want to drop over there. As I'm going through the talk today, I'm going to give you guys the plan as well of everything we're going to talk about. But as I'm going through today, if something is resonating with you, if I say something and you're like, I have a question about that, please utilize the chat. I love making this more like of a dynamic conversation. Yes, I'm here to teach, to lead, to facilitate, to give you guys this valuable information, but I want it to be for you. Which is why I always have a Q&A section as well. So welcome again. I'm going to dig in today. And like I said, utilize that chat. Let me know if something's resonating. Let me know if I'm speaking to you. Let me know if I hit a nerve, whatever you want. Oh, another wellness way. Welcome, Lena. Yeah. I assume that you probably know Rachel and Connor then, which are my clients in Sarasota. And April, I know you're at the Wellness Way too. So amazing. Lizzie, great to meet you. Oh, Nicole's coming in. All right, all right, all right, all right. Jenny, Nicole, do you guys know each other yet?
Which Jenny? I can't see everybody.
Jenny from Music Compound.
Yeah,
Yes.
yeah,
Okay, okay, just
yeah.
making sure. All right, Nicole, I'm going to mute you because I'm going to get started, okay? I was just telling everybody to hop over in the chat, tell us where you're from, what you do, how we can connect with you outside of here. Okay, so we're here because we all have businesses and we all know what working in our businesses and trying to live our lives and the juggle that that really is, and the overwhelm that that causes. The big problem is that for women running businesses, there is a lot of information out there that talks about how we trade our 9 to 5 for a 24/7. And truthfully, I think that is the problem here, because what we accept is what is, it's what we believe. So we've accepted that running a business is a 24/7 job. We believe and have perpetuated the cycle that when you're running a business, you are on call, everything falls on your shoulders. And that is really the root cause of why we overwork. That is the reason why we stay in the cycle of overworking, because that is what we believe. So when we're talking about our core beliefs, this is a different topic that I'm not going to cover today, but just know that everything that we do stems from a core belief. And so what we believe work looks like or needs to look like will dictate how we work. So we stay stuck in the overworking cycle because honestly, it's easier to stay in something that we know than it is to change and do something differently. So when we're talking about change, most people only change when they have to, right? I finally made a change in my life after being arrested for the 3rd time. It took me 3 times going to jail to understand I was going to have to do things differently. Everybody has their own story. Everybody has their different catalysts for change. But most times we reach a place in which something awful has to happen to make us change. That is not what it has to be. And so if you're here and you find yourself consistently overwhelmed from your work, you need to change the way that you're working. I'm going to help you do that today. So we are stuck in this cycle because it is a belief that we hold. But not only that, we have society working against us. We have what we've seen from the people before us. We have everything that is perpetuated in the media, maybe the people, you know, if you have parents or extended family that have been entrepreneurs, it is just accepted, once again, that owning a business is a 24/7 job. So not only that, but we are rewarded for it. So our brains are wired to be rewarded. So we like rewards. That's why we're here. We're high achievers. We like to achieve things. We like to check boxes. We like to make a difference in the world. And so because of that, we crave that. So then we create more so that we can do more so that we can be rewarded. Do you guys see how this works? It's like, I believe that work looks like this. And I also am rewarded when I work like this. So I will work like this. That's the summary of why we overwork, right? We believe that if we work this way, it will get us where we want to go. Because each of us in here, when we started, we have dreams, goals, aspirations in all areas. We want to fill a gap. We want to make a change. We want to hit a certain revenue number. We want to be wealthy. We want to, you know, provide for our families. We have all these different things that drive us, right? And when we commit to owning a business, we also have to think about who is watching, and that when you step into entrepreneurship, you automatically are stepping into a leadership position that gives you the opportunity to create a new path. But once again, we have the path that's been laid before us, and then we have the opportunity to create a new path. The new path is harder because it's unknown, and because there's a lot of fear, and because we're not sure if we're going to be rewarded if we sit still. And I want to just right up front let you know that there is a difference. There is this extreme side, especially on social media, that is perpetuated. That's like, just sit on your couch all day and make money. That's bullshit. And that's not how it should be. When you're working, you should work fucking hard. You should work hard, and you should show up, and you should show up for your people, and you should be of service, and you should do a good job. And then there's the other side of that, that is you're so committed as a leader leading your business that you have to be on the field at all times, that you cannot see the forest through the trees, that you're not able to see that bigger vision and be the visionary of your company that is necessary for the innovation and for the growth and for long-term success, right? So there's these two extremes of like working all the time or let me just manifest it, right? There is a middle ground here. And this middle ground and the middle ground that you're searching for and what you want to find is similar to interval training. So you may or may not know this, previous fitness coach. I started as an entrepreneur in fitness, like whatever, 5 decades ago at this point. And interval training is my favorite type of training. And there's a lot of references that I put into my business coaching and consulting that refer back to training. There's just so many parallels, right? So in interval training, you push hard and then you rest so that you can push hard again. And I think about that with business, and I think about that for each of you is like, there are push seasons, but understand that your push seasons are not supposed to be extended, and your push seasons are only as good as your rest seasons. So in your rest seasons, you're building clarity. You're getting space so that new ideas can come in. You're fostering creativity. You're allowing yourself to be rewarded for being still, for working on refining what you've built already, right? And in your push seasons, that can be when you're launching something new, when you're creating something new, but there has to be that balance. We can't just be on the field all the time, right? So you're here because you know that there is a better way. You know that overworking is not sustainable long-term. You know that if you want to get where you want to go, that you're going to have to do it differently. Whether you've reached a breaking point already because your stress levels are extremely high, you're not sleeping well, maybe you're seeing health issues, maybe you're seeing relationship issues, all of these things are part of it. And you know it's time to operate differently. It's time to change. It's time to run the business in a way that's not running me into the ground, right? So recently I saw this post on social media that said something to the effect of, there's no such thing as balance for working moms. And immediately I'm like, no, stop. This is the problem. This is the problem. Because something posted like that, something that we see, the comments are riddled with people who have now gotten permission to not seek balance. And I want to, this is why I'm going to go over exactly what balance is, because I think that people have that a little misconstrued as far as what they believe, but it is something that you define yourself. So all of these women were so grateful for the permission to not have balance. And while I understand how far away it can seem, especially having 3 little kids, what I also know from my own journey and from my experience is that when we settle, we don't create solutions. Solutions are found when we identify that something is a problem. Awareness is always the first step to change, right? If we tell ourselves this is a problem, never mind, it's not a problem, then we stop seeking solutions. But our brains are actually wired for when we register that there is a problem, we immediately start seeking solutions. Some of you may be here because you saw this class and you were like, oh my gosh, she read my mind. I'm working all the time. It's affecting, you know, my family, my health, whatever, me, all of it. You know that there's a problem. So the problem with this post and why I was so triggered by it is because this is settling. This is saying, well, I chose to run a business, and so this is what it needs to look like. And that's not the way that it needs to be. If instead we say, you know what? I want to run a business that allows me more time with my family. I want to run a business that contributes to my health and my well-being. I want to run a business that has a solid foundation, that retains clients, that makes a lot of money, and I want to do that without sacrificing myself. If we commit to that, then we start seeking solutions to be able to create that. This is how I created my business. As somebody who has a lot of abandonment issues from my childhood, When I became a mom, I knew that I wanted to be present for my children. The issue with that is I love my work. And much like all of you here, you didn't start something that you hate. And that's why it's easy to overwork, because you love it. I could, if I did not have boundaries, I could have a zillion clients and I could work all the time because I love it. I love people. I love helping people. I love creating solutions. But I can't give to my highest capacity if I'm drained, right? So I shared my frustrations with my husband about this post, and I'm like, man, this sucks that so many people think work has to look like this, that so many people are just settling and just like, well, this is just the way that it is when you run a business. But what if it's not? And he came back to me, because if you know Eric, he's pretty funny. And he goes, I don't understand either. Do people just work until they die? And I was like, seriously, why are we not asking this question? What is the purpose of our work? What are we doing it for? If it's not enhancing our life, and this is the one life that we get to live, why are we doing it? Because we're told we're supposed to, because we're chasing the next bigger thing, because that's what's ingrained in us and that's what we're rewarded for. So do we just work and then we die? Right? And that's why it's so important for me to teach you here today how to operate like a visionary CEO. This is why I ingrain with all of my clients that to build something greater, to build something bigger, to truly make an impact in the world, you can't be doing all the time. So here's what we're going to go into. First, we're going to talk about what overworking and balance actually are. Then we're going to look at a handful of mistakes that you're probably making or other leaders have made when they're trying to stop overworking. And then I'm going to give you specific steps and strategies that me and my clients use to kind of step out of that day-to-day grind, to have more time freedom, to be able to run parallel a bigger business and a greater quality of life, because that's what this is about, right? It shouldn't take away. Your business should not take away from your life. So after that, I'm going to tell you about Female Founders Inner Circle. I've got an incredible bonus that I literally just thought of 30 minutes ago that I was like, I'm going to drop that on them and it's going to be incredible. And then I'm going to open it up for a Q&A for you guys. So any questions or like things that pop up in your head, or especially when I get into the teaching part of this, if you're like, how does this apply to my business? I'm happy to answer that for you. Again, I want you to take what you need here today from this. So does that sound good? Everybody cool? Thumbs up. I can only see some of you. Okay, awesome. All right. So first, what is overworking and how do we identify when we're overworked, right? So overworking is working beyond your capacity or your strength. This is why it is individual, because we all have different capacities, right? Some of us have great capacities. I am someone that actually has a higher capacity of work. I don't know if you guys know anything about human design. I'm not going to go down that path, but I'm what's called a generator, and we are like the worker bees. So that's why you can probably tell being here, I'm energetic. I have a lot to give. I can do a lot, but some people have less of a capacity, and your capacity is affected by a lot of different things, right? Your health, your sleep, your brain, what you believe about yourself, your confidence levels. And so that's just overworking, is when you're pushing past whatever your capacity is, right? So it's very important for you to know, what is my capacity? What is my capacity? What is my capacity for me? Like 4 calls per day is my absolute max. 3 is a preference. So like, I know that. Private clients, 8 private clients, that's all I'll take. That is my max. So like knowing these things for the area of your business, what is the capacity at each thing? How many hours, feel best for you? Like just getting really clear on what your capacity is so you don't stretch beyond that. And then how to identify when you're overworked. It's going to show up in a variety of ways that some of you may have already felt. I would love to hear in the chat from you guys, if you knew that you were overworking and kind of pushing yourself past your capacity, how did you know that? How did you identify that? A lot of people will feel like physically exhausted, which then can run into your sleep, which is making you sleep less, which is super weird because you would think you would sleep more. So that physical exhaustion, that mental exhaustion, there's a lot of like reactivity that can come, especially I notice this a lot with leaders, like you get snappy with your team, snappy with the people that you're in relationship with your kids. So a lot of like not being able to respond because your emotions aren't regulated. Yeah, hard time getting out of bed and being motivated, dreaded coming to work, sick, mental state, fought with my fiance all the time, bitterness, frustration. Yes. So we're smart. Like nobody that starts a business is an idiot. Like you guys are all brilliant in your industries. You know what you're doing. You're smart. You didn't get where you are because you're an idiot. That's just honest. Right. And so with that, you know, when you're pushing yourself too far. And sometimes we tell ourselves this story in that moment of like, well, this is just temporary. Like raise your hand if you've ever said that one. Oh, I'm just going to push through until this happens and then I can pull back, right? And yes, there are push seasons, like I said, but even in those push seasons, we have to balance with rest. So just knowing what those things are so that you can see and register and remind yourself of, again, awareness, first step to change. So being aware of that is going to be the first thing. And then what does balance actually mean, right? So a lot of people think about balance and it's equal like attention in all areas. So when you think about like your personal fulfillment and you as a human, I think about it like a pizza, right? Like we all need these fulfillment in different areas, right? There is like our work, there is our family, there is our hobbies, there is our social life, there is, you know, our alone time. There's all these different things that need to be fed. And it would be impossible for all these pieces of the pie to be even. So I do not believe that it's something like you are resting equal amounts of times that you're working, because that might not feel optimal to you. So what I'm going to do is I'm actually going to read the definitions from the dictionary of what balance is. Okay. So it is an even distribution of weight, enabling someone or something to remain upright and steady. When I read that, all that stood out to me was remaining upright and steady. Because if you think about when you are overworked, you are the furthest thing from upright and steady. You're wobbly. You can't think clearly. You're foggy, right? And so it's like, that's interesting. So we know that we want to remain upright and steady. So we can then ask ourselves the question of what keeps me upright and steady, right? What keeps me feeling my best? For me, it's an early bedtime and an early wake up time that allows me to have 2 hours in the morning by myself before I go into mom mode and coach mode, right? It's filling my cup first. So then there's another definition, a condition in which different elements are equal or in the correct proportions, right? This is personalized to you. What are the correct proportions? It all comes down to when do you actually feel your best? Because when you feel your best, you operate at your best. You lead your team at your best. You are more receptive to feedback or new information or conversations or communications with your partner when you feel your best. And the last definition here is keep or put something in a steady position so that it does not fall. So once again, kind of like upright and steady. So I want you to redefine, if you were viewing balance as something like I'm seeking balance and it needs to be equal parts. Here's the other problem is that a lot of times we are wanting something, but we don't clearly define it. So what I want you to do today is I want you to clearly define, what does balance look like to you? What does that mean? Does it mean that you have a weekly date night with your partner Does it mean you work, 10 hours less per week? Does it mean that you are done with work by the time your kids get out of school? What does it mean? Let's put some actual measurable definitions around this, because otherwise you can't just set a goal and say, I want to be more balanced. Okay, well, what does that mean so that we can actually build it, right? Like anytime I'm working with a client and we're creating that, I'm like, okay, so you want to, create more revenue in less hours. Awesome. How many hours? How much revenue? Now that we have specifics, we can reverse engineer it and we can build that, right? So I want you to think about, what does balance look like for you? What do you feel like you're missing? What do you need to keep you upright and steady? What do you need to be in a position so that you don't fall? Okay. So here's some of the mistakes that people are making when they're trying to create balance, when they're trying to stop overworking. These are the things that a lot of people do. First, having the best intentions with no follow through. Like every single one of us has done this in one area or another. It's just this one time. Okay, after this, I'm going to change it. I'm just going to do this and then it will be different. Like every single one of us have told one of those stories, and intention without follow through is pointless, right? So when you set an intention to do something differently, to be somebody different, you need to have these specifics of what that looks like. And then you also need to have accountability on how you're going to make it happen, right? That's like one of the biggest roles that I play for my clients, because we're moving into a bigger position, because we're playing a bigger game, because it's going to call them into action to be better leaders, better mothers, because it's going to put them in a position to lead like they've never led before. It's uncomfortable and there's fear. And I have to hold them accountable to stepping into that, right? Because that's who they're meant to be. Stepping into your greater potential is not something that's comfortable, right? Setting boundaries, not something that's comfortable. Doing the things that you know you need to do that are hard is not comfortable. So setting intentions without follow through will never get you where you want to go. Then there's the light at the end of the tunnel story, which I've said a few times. It's this idea that the way that we are running our businesses right now is temporary and it will change after X happens. I see this happen a lot of times when people are starting to hire on teams or have teams, and the business is rapidly growing and we're bringing on team members, and then it's like, why does the business still feel overwhelming? Why does it feel like I have all these people that are like my support, but I'm doing just as much work? It's because they don't change how they operate. It's because they're micromanaging. It's because nothing has been looked at from that bird's eye view of the gaps that need to be filled. So the end of the tunnel never comes. That goalpost just keeps moving. And that keeps us in this cycle, right? So the other thing that I just mentioned that's a big problem is people are hiring and bringing on new team members with this idea that it's going to take work off their plate. And then they create more work for themselves, either because they hire from a place of desperation, so it's not a good hire, or when they onboard somebody, they hire somebody, they bring them on, they're so overwhelmed that they can't communicate clearly what actually needs to happen. And it prevents them from being the best leader for that person and training them in the best way possible. This happens a lot. And then the last thing that I see most commonly is the idea that coming up for air every now and then will settle things. It's like, okay, intervals, right? Push season, and then I'll just take a vacation. It's like, that sounds really good. Cool. So you work really hard. Like, what's the saying? Work hard, play hard, right? You work really hard, then you take a vacation. You're like, oh, I'm refreshed. Except on the vacation, you're thinking about work the whole time. You're probably working while you're there. And when you come back from your vacation, you walk back into the shitstorm that you left from because the root issue isn't being solved. And this isn't just about you or the business, it's about both. There is systemic change that has to happen within the business. There are things that have to be identified for you to be able to grow in the way that you want to. And then you also have to become the person that can withstand and lead that growth. So it's both together. But coming up for air every now and then, taking a vacation, taking a quick reset, do it, absolutely. But also change the problem so that when you're taking a vacation, you're actually on vacation. So that you feel safe and secure walking away from your business, so that you feel okay when you step back, so that you're empowering your team to run things. These things don't work because at the end of the day, you're still operating the same. You're operating from a place of mental and sometimes physical fatigue. And most importantly, you haven't shifted your mindset from that solopreneur into a visionary leader. The solopreneur mindset is something that a lot of us have who started alone, right? We started alone. It was our business. It was our baby. And then we grew and we grew rapidly and we have a team and now we have people supporting us, but we are still acting the same even though these people exist. That's where we see micromanaging. That's where we see a lot of communication breakdown. And that's why these are skills that have to be paid attention to when you have a team. But these are things we don't think about because we start our business because we're like, I want to help people. I want to create this change. I want to fill this gap. I want to do this thing that's going to be super profitable, or all of the above, right? And you do this, and then you're like, well, I got into this because I love this thing, and now I'm managing a bunch of people and have all these fires to put out. And what the fuck is going on? This isn't why I started this, right? And so we have to move ourselves from that scrappy individual that started, that came out like guns blazing, ready to make this change, ready to make this impact. We have to shift from that into the visionary CEO. And being a visionary CEO means that you are able to step back and step out to see the bigger picture so that you can create innovation and evolution and the things that are necessary. Identify the problems. You cannot identify solutions when you are in the fire. You have to step out. So here's some things that you need to do and put in place so you aren't overworking. So you have boundaries set to make sure that you stay steady, that you stay upright. First and foremost is prioritizing the human behind the title. Your work is not your identity. Your title is not who you are. It is the way we introduce ourselves at networking events. It is what's on our business cards, but you are you. And so when you take off all the titles and you take off all the masks that you're wearing and you really think about who you are, you need to think about nourishing and taking care of that person. Your mental and your physical health, your fulfillment outside of work have to be primary. This is one of the greatest keys to not only better leadership, but better business growth that people miss out on. People think that business growth comes from focusing on the business and the growth. Absolutely, but only when you have the energy and the mental capacity to see those things, which comes from prioritizing yourself. So first, prioritize the human behind the title. Second, knowing your capacity. I spoke on this earlier, but too many people just take things on and take things on and take things on without considering your own capacity or the capacity of your team. and how your overwhelm trickles into your team. If you're a chaotic leader, expect to have a chaotic business. Establish whatever your business is and whatever service or products you're providing, you need to have capacities, max capacities that you say, this is when we're taking no more. This is when our hours are done. This is as many, customers as we can serve. Another thing that you can do is space out your timelines of your return, like your turnaround time. That's something I've done with a lot of clients who have businesses that have deliverables. Is if you're setting expectations from the start, which is something you want to do in your business regardless. When somebody comes into relationship with you, you want to say, here's where you can contact me. Here's where you cannot contact me. Here's what to expect and not to expect. This is the guidelines of everything. If you hand that to somebody right up front, then there's no assumptions and it's going to take a lot of weight off you and your team. So space out timelines, space out your turnaround times. Don't be afraid to extend project timelines, communicate. Not everything needs to happen right now. The third thing is getting comfortable with the uncomfortable. One of the things that happens with my clients is when there's stillness, when there's space, it feels wrong. And understanding that when we're working towards a goal, right? If we have the goal of working less, of being able to spend more time with our family, being present, and then you get there, remember that that's not something that you've been rewarded for. Like we talked about previously, we are rewarded for how much we work and how much we produce. And so we've been conditioned to believe that we are only as valuable as what we are producing. And so when you get to the point where you aren't overworking, where you are enjoying your life, don't expect that it's going to feel good at first. Expect that you will feel guilty. Expect that when you go on vacation and don't bring your laptop, that you are going to feel really bad about it. It's the expectation that we have that when we reach this new place and have space and get what we want, that it's going to feel great and we have arrived. We need to let go of that because it is going to be uncomfortable because we are undoing conditioning that you have held for your entire life around what work needs to look like, what success needs to look like. And we are undoing and rewriting that. And that's a big deal, especially for those of you with children, because you have little eyes watching you. I don't want my children to be like, my mom was great. She worked all the time. That sucks. I want them to have memories with me, right? So get comfortable with being uncomfortable. Understand that it's not going to feel great. When you implement, space and visionary time, you're not going to be like, wow, feels amazing to be here. You're going to be like, I feel like I should be doing something because that's what I've always done. And then the last thing here is focus your time on continued sharpening of your skills. So that shift from basically kind of that solopreneur or, that starting like those beginning year, that mindset into being more of a visionary CEO, what that requires in you is at first when you're starting out, you're doing. And a lot of that can be necessary, right? I still think that there's a place there, if we're being honest, to set boundaries and foundations from the beginning. But I'm speaking more to my established business owners, right? So what you need to focus on as you're moving into that space is your focus changes from doing all the doing to being a master of your craft. How can you be a leader in your industry? How can you sharpen and refine your skills even further? How can you take what you've built that's established and make it even better? Right? So it becomes less of the quantity that you're seeking in the beginning and more about quality. How can I increase the quality here? When I'm working with clients to increase their revenue and they have these established businesses that they're making multi-six, seven figures, right, already, we're working on refinement of the things that they're offering. We're working on making them more valuable. We're working on their development as leaders so that they can, the work that they're doing becomes increasingly more valuable because of what they're delivering. Their quality is raised, right? And the prices are reflective of that. So organizing and prioritizing and putting these things in order is going to take time, which we feel always that we don't have enough of. But when you prioritize yourself, when you are looking at the capacity for your team, when you're focused on sharpening your skills instead of trying to do it all, it's going to offer you a clear head that is going to make you a better leader and better able to continue growing your business. Okay. So now I'm going to give you actually 3 steps that I want you to take. If you don't have a notebook or a pen, this would be a great time to grab one, because these are like tactical things that I want you to implement. So I'm going to give you these 3 steps, and each step I'm going to describe and tell you exactly how to do. Okay. So these are the 3 steps to basically transition from overworking into being the visionary, right? And anytime that we are creating solutions to a problem, we always want to start with the foundation. We always want to start with, where is the problem originating from? And so the first place that I'm always working with my clients on when we get started together is we are starting on their schedule. We're starting with their actual time, how they're managing it, how they're using their time and energy, all of those things. So I'm going to take you through what I do with private clients, with women in any of my programs, to establish a more clear and better schedule that will serve you, your business, and your family. So, number 1, you are going to design your ideal schedule with a visionary day. Okay. This visionary day, otherwise called a CEO day, is one of the most important things that I believe you can have in your business, because this day is purely dedicated to research, strategy, development, planning. It is taking a step back out of your business, looking from that bird's eye view, thinking about what needs to be planned for future development, what can be refined, sharpened. It gives you the opportunity to not deal with anything that's happening inside the business and just focus on, again, strategic development, program development, offer development, refining current things, systems, process, whatever, things that you want to make better. Okay. So here's how you're going to do that. You're going to write down all of your current tasks and responsibilities in your business. Just a list, everything that you do. That can be on a day-to-day basis, weekly basis, monthly basis. The best way to do this is to actually pull up your calendar, pull up your to-do list, pull up your project management software, everywhere that you keep all of your stuff, pull it all together and just make a big honking list of the big things, small things, every hat that you wear, role that you play, tasks that you do in your business. Okay. After you do that, you're going to pick at least 5 things that you can delegate. At least 5 things. And so now that you have this list, you're going to lay out your whole week, not from these are normal working hours, these are the hours I've always worked, these are the hours that my clients need me, whatever it is. You're going to lay out a new schedule that is most optimal for you and your family. Do you think this works better at the beginning of the week or the end of the week? That is a great question. I love that question. So this is going to be purely based on you, right? I prefer to do it Monday is my day for this. Reason being is I don't work weekends. So that rest and that like time with my family and play and stuff that's happened over the weekend will foster ideas for me. So I come in fresh and clear and crisp and have ideas. So Mondays are my day. So it's really up to you on, you know, what works best for you. I find that, you know, when like my schedule, I'll just share with you guys, my schedule is Monday through Thursday. Friday is a work optional day for me. Mondays is my CEO days. Tuesday, Wednesday are client focused days. And then Thursday is like my in the business, kind of like email, admin. You know, if I have to teach a class, that can also be an overflow day if I need to reschedule clients. That's one of the things. It's just, this is just like a side tip, but as a mom or a business owner in general, honestly, you should have buffer space because shit happens. And a lot of the urgency that's perpetuated is like, oh no, this meeting got messed up. And so now it ruined my whole day. Versus if you have it built into your schedule to just move stuff around, it's not that big of a deal. So lay out your whole week, including that day. Lay out your hours and the days you want to work. And so then you're going to have this one day, right? That is your visionary CEO day. And there are no meetings, no phone calls, no interruptions. This is your day where you are unavailable to your business. Obviously, if there's certain things like, you know, you have your team, like I have my team in Slack, you have to check in Slack, you know, in the morning or whatever for urgent matters, that's different. But ideally you definitely have you do not schedule meetings or calls or anything, clients on this day. Okay. And then on your other days, similar to what I just mentioned, you want to try to group similar things together, right? So I have my on the business day, which is my CEO visionary day. Then I have my 2 client days to where it's just like, I'm in it with clients. Like I'm in their businesses. I'm there. I'm fully available to them. I don't even like really try to do stuff I might do a little bit of like content writing or ideas that come to me, but that is just a client. Those 2 days are client focused. And then I have my, 4th day, which is like my in the business day. That's when I'm implementing things. That's when I'm doing a lot of my blog writing, things like that. So, yeah. And again, like if you have the idea of like, I want to work a 4-day work week, cool, build it. It's better for you to build your optimal schedule and transition into it than it is to say, well, I can't do that right now. So maybe one day, because then we're dealing with everything that we talked about earlier. So build what's optimal and understand there will be a transition. So 4 or 5 days, optimal hours that you want to work, likely less hours than you're working now, the hours that work best for you and your family, the hours that can create less stress, more time for yourself. For most of my clients, I will have them take Fridays off. That can be a personal day for them. And at the very worst case scenario, it's an overflow day, right? Like I have one of my clients that's a lawyer. So it's like if she gets called to court, it's like it can still be there. It still exists. But we just are, again, forming the habit that we are running. We're making the decision that we are running our business from a place of fulfillment, and we're running our business in this many hours, and this is how we're going to make it happen. It's solution creating, right? So group those things together on the other days. You have one day with no meetings. All of your other tasks are going to be spread out through the other days, ideally with grouping things together. If you can't do separate days for like, I know with the Wellness Way, if you're seeing chiropractic patients, right? And you obviously can't just see chiropractic patients like one day a week. You could, actually, let me correct myself there. You totally could. But you can group things together still to where it's like you can have one day where you only work the morning, and then the afternoon could be more of like in the business admin stuff. So play with it. That's the other thing is I want to give you guys permission, like set this, transition into it, hold, like protect this, but also like be willing to be flexible if something's not working, right? The idea here is we're reducing the amount of time that you're working, and we're making you see that it's possible to work less hours. And we're making you see that it's possible for you to have time for yourself to take care of you. So that's designing. So we design the ideal schedule, right? Then we build, right? Which is kind of what we were just talking about. So you're gonna design it, and then you're gonna build it. So you're gonna take all of those tasks that you list. You're gonna get rid of some of them, right? Because we're delegating at least 5. And then we are going to reverse engineer what your new role and responsibilities will be after taking those things away into this schedule. And then you're going to extend turnaround times and timelines for any projects or things that you do that you give deliverables for. You're going to extend that so you have a longer window to be able to respond to people to remove urgency. And then the next thing you're going to do is you're going to identify any support that you need to stick to these hours, right? Because I don't want you to leave here today and have this like, okay, cool, I'm doing this. It's time for me to run my business like I'm running the business. And then be like, never mind, that was cool. I'll just leave it on the paper. That's not what we're doing. We're implementing. We're actually putting this into action. So I want you to identify what support you need to stick to these hours. That support may be me, right? If we choose to go further from here together. Then we're going to talk about outside the business, because right now what we're talking about is your work schedule. But a lot of our overwhelm and overworking is not just from work. It's from juggling all the responsibilities. It's from being the party planner, the taxi cab driver, all the other things that we have to do, right? Or maybe you have multiple businesses, right? So I want you to think about and enlist support outside of the business. This is why my 7-year-old does his own laundry. All of my kids do chores. All of my kids clean their rooms before they get screen time. Because everything does not need to be my job. And everything doesn't need to be your job. We get to rewrite how we do life as mothers and as business owners. And that's what we're instilling today. So I want you to keep clarity and keep a clear head by enlisting this support from different areas. We hire teams in our business when we know we've reached capacity. And so I want you to make sure that you feel like you have a team at home. How many things are you doing just because you feel like you're the one that needs to do them, or because you're the person that's always done them? Do you really need to be the one getting the groceries? Do you really need to be the one that's cooking every night? Do you really need to be? So just start to think about some of those small things, especially those small things, because we do that in business and outside. It only takes 5 minutes. It will be quicker if I do it. These are the things that hold you back. So you can ask yourself, what are you still doing because you think you're supposed to, not because you actually enjoy it? And that should give you a more clear insight. Like I'm trying to get laundry delegated as quickly as possible, because there's few things that are worse than laundry, right? But seriously, household tasks, grocery shopping, think outside the box on this. Like, this is overwhelm and overworking it's because our capacity has been stretched beyond what we are available for. So stop making yourself available. Recruit people. There are able bodies that are willing to help you. And I think a lot of times as women, we're afraid to ask for what we really want. And I think that you would be surprised at what enlisting support. Like, my husband is like the rock, right? Like, he does so much for our house, for our family. He's the only one in my house that does dishes, honestly. So there's different, and like, he loves that, like, knows that he's contributing in that way, right? So we're going to design the ideal schedule. Then you're going to build the ideal schedule and enlist any support that you need inside, outside the business, see what can be delegated. And then the third step here is protecting this schedule. People often think like, oh, I need to manage my time better. Oh, I'll get a planner, whatever. That's not what this is about. Again, this is like the foundation of everything, because this determines what you say yes to, what you say no to, how you plan your life. And so this matters, and it matters a lot. And so when you put something in place, you need to protect it. When you understand the importance of how you spend your time and your energy and how that dictates how far you can go in the world and what you're capable of, then it really becomes apparent that you have to protect this time, that you have to say no to things. So we're going to protect this time with boundaries, and we're going to protect this time with expectations. We're going to let people know up front, this is what you can expect from me. This is when I will be here to support you, and this is when I won't be here to support you. This is when I'm available and not available. So after developing your plan and your schedule, it will be your job to communicate this, to take this schedule to your team, to your partner, to your household, and let everybody know this is what we're transitioning into. This is what it looks like for me. Again, this is when I'm available. This is when I'm not. If you have a big team of people, one of the recurring problems is there's a lot of interruptions. It's okay to set boundaries with them and say, you can come to me with that. So like compile a list and come to me at the end of the day, or however it works best for you, right? So communicate across the team what your new plan is, and identify any areas where you need to adjust the current expectations, especially in your business. Like if you have set the expectation that somebody emails you and you email them back 20 minutes later, you probably, I have one of my past clients who is also my CFO. I love her so much. And she's a mom of four. So we did a lot of work to just like really design her business in a way that is fulfilling for her life, so she can show up for her kids. And she's got this great business, and her email signature says something to the effect of, we respond to emails within, I think it's like 72 hours or something like that, because we respect work-life balance or something like that. And that's huge, especially for the financial industry, because talk about like burnout rates for sure. Healthcare and financial are two of the heaviest. But anyways, so things like that, right? It's okay to rewrite, like think about how you've changed in relationships before. It's like you have to kind of relearn things. So when you're setting these boundaries and expectations, expect that there might be some resistance from people. There might be some questions. People might overstep because they're not used to it yet. And that's okay. Just keep reinstating what the boundary is. No, we no longer do that. Yes, we can do that, but on a different day. Just protect this time, protect this space that you've built. Okay. And then asking for accountability around this schedule, which we covered already. I'm going to talk about female founders in a second, but like we do, your CEO schedule is what we spend our first month in the program on, because once again, this is such a huge part of your ability to grow, because of the capacity that you set. And so just know that like you need accountability in this, because it's going to feel unnatural, and it's going to feel like you're going to set a time to stop working, and you're going to look up and you're going to see that time, and you're going to be like, well, I could just keep working because I'm the boss, right? And so expecting to hold yourself accountable is probably not going to happen. So make sure that's another reason why you need to communicate it to your team. Also, again, if we choose to move forward after this, then I will hold you accountable as well. And then the last thing is make sure that you're throwing things back. So this is, I have one of my clients that we have two phrases that we use really frequently. She has a pretty good sized team. She has 7-figure business. It's incredible what she's built and what she's doing in the world, but it's come with a lot of overwhelm and a lot of like fires that she has to put out for her team management. And so we have two things that we say. We say, number one is take a beat, right? Which is kind of unrelated to what we're talking about today, but still a good skill to have, is that like when something happens, step away, take a beat before you respond to it, because otherwise you're going to be reactive, right? So take a beat is one. And then the other one is throw it back. Throw it back. So something comes in to you that is not necessary for you to do, that your team has the capability to do, throw it back. Don't correct it for them. Tell them what to do. Let them do it. Let them learn. That inspires and empowers and creates confidence in people. So throw it back. It's okay for somebody to bring you a problem and you give feedback and let them handle it. Try to empower, like I said, empower your people by letting them handle things. So to become a better leader, to build a bigger business, you have to have clarity. And that's what this is going to create for you. You're going to have a very clear picture of when you're working and when you're not. And when you're at work, what you're doing and what the expectations are and what the boundaries are, right? Because we cannot be good leaders when we're drowning, which is why we're here and we're having this conversation. But here's the other bonus that happens when you do this, is that I have noticed that the mom guilt that I would feel, which was pretty extreme, especially with my first and my second, it reduces that so much. And maybe you feel this even with your partner if you don't have kids, but the mom guilt and like having 25 tabs open in my head, that has reduced significantly because everything has a place, right? I know when something pops up or I think about something that it's like, okay, that'll be on Thursday, or that's, you know, that's in the project management, that person's handling it, right? So understand that like that is greatly reduced because we strategically know that we have set ourselves up with a great structure, and then emotionally know that we have made it a priority to take care of ourselves and show up for the people that we love. Sometimes mom guilt is a sign that we need to do something better, right? Like any other emotion. So everything feels safe, it feels secure, it feels organized, and you just have those clear times when you're working and you're not working, when you're with family, when you're present. And yes, there's going to be some overlap. I would never lie to you and say that like I am the perfect mom and that I don't have my phone out around my children. That's definitely not the case, but there is clear boundaries of what I will and won't do. And even with my children, I will tell them, you know, I need to finish this and then I will be there for you. So every week won't be perfect, but now you guys have this to put in place. And I just want you to, again, protect your time, protect your energy, and you have this structure, but now I also want you to have this belief that it's not about doing the most. It is about the quality in which you deliver. Your leadership and your legacy will be defined by the impact you make, and you cannot make a greater impact when you are drowning, when you are not giving and serving from your highest capacity. Okay. So just as a little recap for those 3 steps, first, you're going to design that ideal schedule. You're going to design it in a way that's optimal for your life. You're going to have that one day where it's just a visionary day. Second, you're going to build out that new schedule. You're going to try to group similar things together. And then you're going to figure out what you need to let go of and where you need to enlist support. And thirdly, you're going to protect that schedule with expectations, with boundaries, with communication, and with accountability. So if you guys have any questions, if you're wondering, how does this apply to my current workload, or this is a roadblock for me, or these are some thoughts that were coming up as you were talking, please drop those in the chat. I would love to answer all of your questions. And I want to tell you guys a little bit about Female Founders Inner Circle. Some of you may have seen it. Some of you may have not. So Female Founders Inner Circle is my group program that is specifically for moms, built by moms. What I saw in being in the business arena for quite a long time is there is this clear divide between very clear strategic business development and motherhood. There's support groups for moms and there's groups for business strategy, but we need to bring them together. And I know so many moms that have been in groups or business programs that are telling them to do all of these things that they feel guilty and not able to do because it's not applicable to their life and it's not applicable to the moms that they want to be. And so I have spent the last it's really my life experience, but I have spent the last almost 6 months refining and creating this incredible program that is specifically for mom founders and business owners that deeply, deeply desire to create a greater impact, that are wanting to, make the business bigger, that are wanting to be leaders in their industry. They're wanting that recognition. They're wanting to step into becoming better leaders, but they also know I don't want to take any more time away from my family. And so this is the perfect blend of strategic development where I'm not going to give you fluff. I don't know if any of you have been a part of business programs or masterminds that have given you just bullshit, but I have. And so I refuse to do that. I'm going to give you, like I did today, tactical things for you to apply in your business. And the way that we're doing this is it's broken down by month. The incredible thing is that another weird thing about group programs that I notice is that you go into group programs and you're expected to be vulnerable and share about all the problems of your business with people that you don't know. And I think that prevents a lot of people from actually being forward and getting the help that they need. And so I said, how can I make this better? And so I'm doing that by starting with a virtual meet and greet. And then we have an actual in-person 3-night retreat, which I know Nicole has been to my retreat. Jenny's been to my retreat. So this is actually, the retreat is going to be a part of this coaching program. So you get to foster real connections with moms who get it. Moms who see you, who understand you, who you can talk business with, who you can talk mom with. And of course, you'll be led by a woman who has built many businesses and has a lot of children. So it is just an added bonus to really foster and create relationships between you and other women because you are the sum of the people that you surround yourself with. And that is incredibly important. So we are doing virtual meet and greet. We're doing a retreat. And then we move into 6 months of coaching. And each month is focused on a key area of your business and improving that area of your business. So again, it's no fluff. This is about developing you and your mindset into the leader that you need to be, because if you want a different result, you have to be different. But this is also about developing your business, making it more efficient, making your strategy better, making your sales better, making your retention better, making your marketing better. All of those things are part of this. So that is Female Founders. Does anybody have any sort of questions from the training today that I can answer for you, or about your schedule, thoughts you want to share? So I would love to open that up. As a bonus today, anybody who signs up for Female Founders, I'm going to actually drop the link over in the chat right now, but anybody that joins Female Founders will get a 90-minute quarterly planning session with me. And this will be a private session with just me and you. So, yes, Lena, absolutely. Yeah, because Rachel's not a mom either, if you know Rachel. So yes, I do have clients. Nicole that's in here right now is not a mom. So yes, I absolutely work with women that are not moms. So if you want to be a mom, that's even better. So I'm dropping that link there. If you join today, you're going to get this planning session, this 90-minute planning session This is something I would usually charge like $2,000 for. So it's a big bonus. But when I was thinking about this right before the call, I was like, you know what? I want them to come into this program so fired up and ready. And I also am so, Nicole can probably speak to this. The way that I lead and teach and coach people is I want to know you on a deeper level. This is not just about your business. This is about you. I genuinely care about the human that you are. And so I want to spend time with you privately before we go into this program as well. So yeah, that's Female Founders. Yes, we can absolutely work together if you are not a mom. I know the Wellness Way structure. I actually have worked with other chiropractors. I've worked with people in all service industries. So no matter what industry that you're in, I've probably worked with some. I've worked with doctors. I've worked with lawyers. I've worked with women in the financial industry. I've worked with coaches. I've worked with chiropractors. So people in the other healthcare individuals. So yes, we can absolutely do that. So any questions, any way that I can help you guys before we wrap up today? You're so welcome, April. Thank you for making the time to be here. I hope that everything at the Wellness Way is good for you and your business. So yeah, that's it. And I would love to have you guys inside the Female Founder Circle. Again, if you want to, if you are interested in this program, the best thing for you to do is go to that page and sign up on the wait list. When you sign up on the wait list, you will get an email that invites you to book a call. And when you book that call, as long as I see that you've booked that call and you are in this class, then you will automatically get that 90-minute free session with me as well. So thank you, Lena. Thank you, Lizzie. Thank you, April. And for everybody that popped out already, thank you again for being here, for listening. I hope this is helpful for you. And I'm really looking forward to helping each of you in your continued growth of your leadership and your businesses moving forward. Don't hesitate to reach out to me. I'm always available for conversation, and hope to see you guys jumping in on the Female Founders Circle, because there are very limited spots and they will sell out, because my retreats always sell out. My programs always sell out, because I'm very good at my job, if I do say so myself. So I will talk to you guys very soon. Thank you again for being here, and let me know if I can answer any other questions for you. Thanks, guys.